Approximately 11% of children ages 4 through 17 have been diagnosed with ADHD. That is an estimated 6.4 million, making it the most commonly diagnosed behavioral condition. You may be wondering what ADHD is. ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. In other words, it's a behavioral problem that affects the ability to function properly on a daily basis. What does a child with this condition look like? That is a simple answer. They look like a normal child. It's simply how they act. Although diet and behavioral therapy are important in helping the symptoms of ADHD, I feel that medication is the most effective. ADHD tends to run in our family. My son Devin is 10, was diagnosed 2 years ago with ADHD. He was very behind in school, and I was against medication. We tried diet and therapy, but those did not work. After being diagnosed, Devin started on a stimulant that he takes every day. Since starting on his medication, his grades have improved. He is not totally up to normal with the other kids in the class, but he is improving and gaining. Some of the symptoms of ADHD are easily distracted, talk too much, act and speak without thinking, have trouble taking turns, constant movements, unable to stay seated, and unable to focus or stay focused. I would like to read a section out of the book ADHD, A Complete and Authoritative Guide. This is a parent's story. Like most parents, I did not like the idea of my child using stimulant medication to manage his ADHD. But I was very concerned about his behavior and ability to learn, and I felt we needed to do whatever it was necessary to help him in those areas. We tried stimulants, and within the first few days, we began to see an amazing difference. His concentration improved. He stayed focused on his task. We still had to try several different types of stimulants during the early period, and he adjusted the doses a few times. But eventually, he was able to retain what he had learned much better than before. Where there was once frustration, I began instead to see a content little boy. Once I saw that medication could help him succeed, I felt we had made the right decision. When people ask me about stimulants now, I tell them that they're a helpful treatment that gets a bad rap for reasons that now I don't entirely understand. Still, I think families rely too much on them sometimes. Parents still need to learn how to help their child improve his behavior, organizational skills, and school support to figure out the best approach to learning. Medication can help out, but as I see it now, that's mostly because the child and his family have also put a lot of hard work in. That was from Margaret from Sacramento, California. There are types of medications known as stimulants and non-stimulants. Stimulants are the most commonly used. 70 to 80% of kids respond positively to the stimulants. Non-stimulants, they do have fewer side effects. Someone with ADHD, stimulants regulate impulsive behavior by increasing the levels of certain chemicals in the brain. Non-stimulants seem to increase the amount of norepinephrine. Although diet changes are important, as stated in the ADD and ADHD Cure, the natural way to treat hyperactivity and refocus your child, it usually isn't enough for children. Diet alone is not the answer. Medication is the most common and effective treatment. When medication works, it is as drastic as effective as eyeglasses. These are the benefits of treatment: focus and clarity, self-esteem and self-awareness. Try to get rid of the negativity that may be infested in your system. Try to focus on your strengths. The third, strong relationships. There needs to be a shared responsibility and an understanding that this is a family issue, not just a patient's issue. Number 4, better physical and mental health. If left untreated, ADHD can pose threats to your overall health. Better impulse control also contribute to your health and well-being by making you less likely to engage in inappropriate behavior. Better financial health. Impulsiveness, a classic ADHD symptom. This can lead to overspending and debt and forgetfulness, and can lead to loss of bills and late payments. In the Journal of American Academy of Children and Adolescent Psychiatry, it talks about early diagnosis of ADHD. A lot of children will either outgrow ADHD or have more complex problems occur, such as anxiety and depression. As discussed in another book I read, Hyperactivity, Why Won't My Child Pay Attention? Parents need to get their children evaluated as soon as they suspect that they have ADHD. This will help them in school in the long run. The ADD and ADHD Answer Book is a good source for parents in taking the steps of having their child diagnosed with ADHD. Not only that, but learning ways to help their children in all aspects of life dealing with ADHD. Remember, the majority of hyperactive children become hyperactive teens. Children with ADHD have a high probability of school, family, social, and legal problems. Families with ADHD children must develop a system of communication, problem solving, and conflict resolution. The best way to treat ADHD is therapy and medication. Although diet changes are important, as stated in the ADHD Cure, the natural way to treat hyperactivity and refocus your child, it usually isn't enough. Medication is the answer. I would like you to think about the information I have just discussed with you. Children with ADHD benefit with medication in several ways, such as socially and academically. There are some instances where diet and therapy is all a child with this condition needs, but more than likely they need that little extra help. And this is where medication comes in. I do agree that once a child has been diagnosed with ADHD, they should try the less invasive approach first. Not all approaches work for each child. Each case is different. For those children who need medication, it is a wonderful tool to help control their urges. Children that are not treated or improperly treated have many disadvantages than the average normal child. They fall behind in school, they tend to get bullied, and tend to have less friends. People see them as troublemakers or have a more severe behavioral problem. Children with ADHD do not want to be this way. They want to have friends, be invited to parties, and do well in school like the other kids. As Robert Juergen, author of The Little Monster, Growing Up with ADHD, says, ADHD is like a superhero, but somebody needs to teach them how to fly. Thank you.